Do you want to have a more professional looking live stream? Do you want a live stream that stands out from the rest and reminds a viewer perhaps of some of your favorite top streamers without having to break the budget and invest in a whole lot of ridiculous expensive gear? In this video I have 13 tips which will make your live stream seem more professional and engaging and hopefully net you a few more followers along the way. We're going to get started right after this. This video is brought to you by Privacy.com. Privacy.com protects your identity and bank information on the internet by letting you shop online using virtual cards instead of real ones. I'm EposVox, here to make tech easier and more fun, and we're covering 13 tips to make your live stream seem more professional in today's video, and most of them require you to spend $0 or maybe just a couple, but not breaking the bank or buying expensive gear or anything like that. And most of these tips you're going to see hopefully kind of enabled here in this setup exactly, as I'm presenting it, but it's up to you to decide whether you actually want to use them. Now, tip number one is actually the background lighting here. Colored lighting in the background and color, the little LifeX tiles and things like that is all the rage. It's a trend these days, and it honestly helps to keep your background more interesting without just having a plain white wall that always ends up looking green or yellow or red on camera, even if your white balance settings are good. Colored lighting can just make a world of difference for the interest level of your background. Now, you can buy at a local hardware or craft store little transparency gels that you put over top of normal lights to give them a splash of color, or you can get dedicated smart bulbs from Philips Hue, LifeX, or there's like Yee lights or something like that. You can get goofy little neon signs or something from a store to put in the background that lights up and looks more interesting. That cat light was only like 15 bucks at I think it was a Michael's craft store. Actually, it was from a party supply store, I think. Wasn't too bad. Does a lot to help make your background more interesting, especially if you're not using a green screen setup. Same with number two is just generally to make sure that the room you are recording in that your viewers see is cleaned up, or you otherwise have a designed set that is meant to be a backdrop here for your viewers to see. So, for example, I have for my streaming setup my camera pointed at the rest of my desk and workflow. You get to see all of the monitors and the hardware that I'm working with, my YouTube plaque, my cat neon sign. I got my little sub counter up there. This is more or less, even though it's a functional workspace, it's a designed set to show off what I do day to day, especially since a lot of my streaming content is around building computers, technology stuff, or providing other tips and tricks just like this. And so this is a lot more interesting than if I were to flip the camera around to the other side, which is usually my messy living room. Now, I usually keep the lights off in the background to hide that, so that's an option to you as well, but nothing's worse than tuning into someone's live stream and you see all their underwear hanging out on their bed and stuff because they didn't bother cleaning it up. Either take the time, prepare for your stream, and clean it up so your audience is given the best possible result, or flip your entire setup around so that they're not facing the mess in the first place, and you don't really gotta worry about it, do you? Similarly with that, number three, you need good lighting so that your viewers can actually see you, and you need a little bit of light contrast. You can see here on me, I have a nice, bright, soft white light so you can see me clearly, and I'm well enough lit, but my background is darker. It has some colored light that contrasts with the white light on me, contrasts with my skin tones, maybe complements my shirt color depending on what shirt I wear. I don't really plan that far in advance. And as overall, everything isn't evenly lit and looking exactly the same, and you can see me. You need good lighting for your camera setup, and this applies to whether you're using a $20 webcam or a $6,000 cinema camera. It doesn't matter. Now, this light can be natural if you're by a window and only stream during the daytime. Make sure it's not too harsh sun on you. Get you some blinds or some, kind of diffusing curtains, or it can be diffused light from a traditional light source. You can get daylight tuned LED bulbs for really freaking cheap from your local hardware store or even some grocery stores and things like that. Get you some tissue paper or some wax paper for a couple bucks at most, put it over top of the light, you got some diffused light, or you can get cheaper diffused LED panels on Amazon or a full-blown Elgato key light, things like that. There are options available to you to get nice, soft diffused light so you don't have harsh shadows on your face, but your viewers can see you and what's going on, and by darkening your background, that helps contribute to the depth of field effect. While, even if you're on a webcam where your background isn't completely blurred, by having your background darker than you, it will give the illusion that it's more blurry, which helps sell your production value. Number 4, you need clean sound, which is hopefully conveyed here because I'm using a temporary audio setup that is not at all how it's supposed to sound at the moment. I'm missing some hardware pieces and things like that. I'm in the process of rebuilding some streaming setups here, but you need some clean sound. This doesn't mean that you need to invest in super expensive microphones. Ideally, you have a dynamic mic, not a condenser mic. Everyone recommends condenser mics, AT2020s, Blue Yetis, things like that, and then people put them 6 feet away from them across their desk, and it's picking up all your keyboard noise. It's right next to your computer, picking up your computer fan noise. That is not the way to go. And this is what I consider to be the lazy Blue Yeti user position, which is all the way up against my monitor. I'm talking while typing, dictating to you. Understand physics. Source of noise close to microphone equals noise in microphone. You can't avoid physics. Move your sources of noise away from your microphone as much as possible. Bring your microphone as close to you, the source of sound, as possible. And ideally get a dynamic mic that helps cut down the background noise in general. And either way, generally just try to treat your environment, shut your door, shut your windows, try to make sure you don't have AC blasting, don't have a fan on if you don't need it, because that can create some wind noise if you don't have a windscreen in your microphone. And try not to let your noisy brother or sister run around and scream in your room while you're live streaming, because it's not professional. I say as someone who has had his cat running around with a bell in most of his videos. We just recently took that off. Also, echo and reverb. That is one of the worst things to make me click off a video or live stream so quickly, is if you're sitting in a room and it sounds like you're in a cave because you're echoing off all the walls. Hang some curtains, have a couch, put down a rug or some carpet, sound blankets. There's a million different options. I'll cover some more on the channel, hopefully in time, but you don't want to sound like you're in a giant cave because that's just not appealing. Number 5 might actually make some people mad, but it doesn't have to be as bad as you think. You should have smooth performance in your live stream. You need to play with your viewers' pleasure in mind, not yours. You may want to play in 4K at the highest detail settings and say screw your streaming settings, it can run like crap, but if it does, your viewer experience is going to be terrible and no one's going to want to watch you. And if you want to grow a successful channel, if you're just doing it for fun and you don't care, by all means, do whatever you want. But if you want to grow a successful channel, the viewer experience has to be good and you need to nail that. And that means creating the gameplay or, playing your game or whatever with your stream in mind. So if you need to lower your resolution, viewers will stick around for, say, a 480p stream that is running super smooth and you're able to compress it better than a 1080p 60 FPS stream where it's actually 15 FPS or super choppy and stuttery or getting super blurry at random, things like that. You need to keep your viewers in mind. With that, you need to engage your viewers. Number 6 is you need to have an engaging personality. Again, if you're just hanging out and doing live streaming for fun, you don't need to be watching this video. This isn't helpful to you. But if you really want to grow, your on-stream presence needs to be engaging. It needs to be active. You need to have energy. You need to be performing. This is a performance art. You are entertaining your viewers. You need to always be chatting, always have something to say, always be interesting, and when you do have chat, you need to engage them. If you don't have chat, don't call out your lurkers. That just creeps them out and looks like you're desperate for viewers because you're looking who's viewing your chat, makes them uncomfortable, and if you don't have chat at all, you still need to be keeping up a conversation so chatters can jump in and be like, oh, I want to talk about that. If they jump in and you're not talking, just waiting for them to show up, they're not going to talk. They're just going to leave. And especially when you account the delay that comes into place with live streaming, then even by the time they do say something, you're still being silent for another 6 seconds or something. And then whenever you do say something, they've probably already clicked off. Along with this, please stop using Restream. Please stop multi-streaming. It really kills the viewer experience. This happens to me all the time. It's a personal pet peeve of mine. I jump into a live stream, I'm chatting in chat, and this person is responding to chat messages that don't exist as far as I'm concerned. Either they're, it looks like they're responding to Facebook messages for all I know, because they are chatting to a chat on another service because they're multi-streaming. And while that may seem like a good idea because, oh, you get to maximize your viewer, how many viewers you can potentially reach, none of those viewers are going to have a good time if they have no idea who you're talking to. It's just really freaking confusing. You can hear the rest of the tips after I tell you about this video's sponsor. Data breaches are a dime a dozen these days, no pun intended, and one of my best buddies just lost like $200 to an account getting compromised on one of the websites that had a data leak, and this has happened to me in the past, and it's really frustrating, but by using privacy.com to mask your payment information and use their super fast virtual card creator, Once your account is set up, make a virtual card, set a nickname for it, such as Steam Games, set a limit, either monthly to restrict your spending so you don't spend too much, or total so that no one can ever overcharge you for something that you did not intend to purchase, and then use it to make your purchases online without giving out your real payment information. Then, if you wish, you can just actually close your card outright after you've made your purchase so that it could never be used again, even if that information is leaked. Head to privacy.com/EposVox and sign up for an account, and as a special treat for my viewers, new customers will automatically get $5 to spend on your first purchase for a limited time only. Yep, free money. Can't go wrong there. Go to privacy.com/EposVox and sign up now. Privacy! Sign up now. Do it! You should have a consistent schedule if you want to grow a live stream. Your viewers need to know when you stream, what time you stream, how many days of the week, so that they know when to tune in. If they don't know when you live stream, you can't expect them to tune in regularly. This is pretty self-explanatory, even if I'm not the best example, given that I'm primarily a YouTuber and streaming is just a passive thing for me. I'm not trying to go full time. You need to plan ahead. Your layout, your live stream layout, your live stream settings, OBS, XSplit, whatever you use, needs to be set up ahead of time and functional. You need to test it. You need to do test recordings. You need to make sure everything is in place so when you hit start streaming, you don't have to mess with anything. Sure, hiccups happen. Sometimes you gotta change things and fix things on the fly just because things broke, but you shouldn't have to be changing things regularly, especially due to not having planned in advance. That is one of the first things that will kill a professional sense out of you. It will make it seem like you just have no interest in doing a good job because you're not doing a good job. Your branding and your overlays and your title slides and your graphics on your channel, your banner, your avatar, things like that, they need to be consistent and they need to convey a sense of branding about yourself. You don't want someone to come to your channel and your avatar and your banner tell two different stories about who you are or what content you produce, and your name's got some random game name in it that you're not actually playing anymore, and you got some weird graphics over here, and then your webcam frame looks nothing like that. It needs to be consistent, and it all needs to tell one big story about who you are and why you're here, what you offer to your viewer, and what they can expect from you and your personality. This needs to be consistent. Whether you pay a graphic designer, do it yourself, or find a template that you can keep consistent across all, aspects of your visual branding, it needs to be there. Along with that, you need to fill out information sections, your Twitch panels, your about sections, your video descriptions of YouTube videos or YouTube live streams. A viewer needs to be able to say, hey, that person is interesting, I want to learn more about them so I can know whether I'm going to be interested in following or subscribing. And if they get there and there's no information there, what do you expect them to do? They need to know when you're streaming, what you're about, what you stream, links to your gear, commonly asked questions, links to your other social media so they can go follow you. Because if you just keep telling them to go follow you on Twitter and you don't have a link to your Twitter, they're not going to go follow you on Twitter. All right, a really big pet peeve of mine that is kind of subjective because even the #1 streamers on Twitch don't bother doing this most of the time. But in my opinion, you need to have a be right back slide, a BRB slide, a technical difficulty slide, a please wait slide, something that you can pull up when you need to leave your camera view, that you can pull it up and say, hey, I'll be right back, and maybe have some music playing, and make sure you mute your microphone. So if you're going to poop or you're talking to someone and you don't want the stream to hear it, you mute your microphone, because so many people don't do this. Nothing annoys me more than tuning into a live stream, and this happens so frequently. As soon as I come in, I'm like, all right, they're talking, they're probably about to play something. I want to find out what it's about, and they're like, yeah, guys, this sounds pretty good. Oh, hang on 1 second. Sorry, but I'm not gonna stick around to see what happens because you leave your stream on a view of your chair. That's not content. People have short attention spans these days. If your stream is just a quiet, empty view of a chair, most of them aren't gonna stick around. And this doesn't need to be anything fancy. This can literally be a static image. Freaking hand write, be right back if you have to. Something. All right, we got 2 more left. Tip number 12 is to use your hotkeys or some sort of control device to control your stream. In line with the idea of not adjusting where your layout is and things like that on the fly, if you have to keep alt-tabbing out of your game to change something or whatever, and things keep getting messed up every time you do, that looks super unprofessional and is very disorienting to the viewer. You need to be using, and I've got a stream deck, which I use multiple in all of my setups. the actual hotkeys built into your software. They have free, I think one's called MacroDeck at macrodeck.org. This is not a sponsored spot. I'm just going to be covering it soon, and people are talking about it a lot. There's versions for Android and iOS that you can use to hook up to use your phone as one. There are options. Don't just Alt-Tab and use your mouse. It always ends up looking bad. And make sure if you're using OBS, Studio Mode, so you can make changes on one side while viewers don't have to see it happen on the fly. Last tip, have a reason for people to care. We kind of talked about this before, but you need to establish what your brand is. This has been a big conversation lately on Twitter and things like that, is you should not be identifying as a small streamer or a variety streamer. This conveys to any potential viewer or company or brand or PR firm that you really just don't know what you're doing yet, that you have not found your focus. This doesn't need to identify you with a game. No one is telling you that you need to be X game streamer and lock yourself into that unless, that really is your thing and all you're going all in on. However, you need to come up with basically an elevator pitch that should be your bio of who you are, what you stream, what you offer to your viewers, and why they should care about you. Yo, I hang out with my friends and talk to people and play video games is an offer for someone to come hang out at your place and play video games. That's not an offer for someone to subscribe to your live stream and to build a growing audience. That's just too generic and too vague and too uninteresting. You need to have something to offer. For example, my live streams are computer builds, technology, hardware videos over on that side, and I do streaming tips while I play FPS games over on the computer on this side, and then I have other streams where I do retro games. Again, I'm not trying to be a full-time streamer, but I at least know what I offer. Computer building streams, hardware tinkering, FPS streaming while I do streaming tips and technology advice to supplement my videos, and retro game streaming up in another setup once I get to that. You need to have something that is core that you offer your viewers regularly that they can know they can tune in for. Not, I just like playing some video games and my personality. Again, bit of a controversial one, but it's very important that you establish what you're about if you want people to care about it. So those have been 13 tips. This is the second time that I've recorded this video. The first one, there were some frame rate issues, and then my camera battery died during this one, so hopefully it turned out well. I am trying a different format here. I even went crazy and set up my Ursa Mini Pro Cinecam in my normal streaming cam position, which is obviously not somewhere I'm going to leave it, but it was interesting to tinker with regardless. And let me know what you think about the format in the comment section down below. I'm EposVox. I'll see you next time.